For those of you, just a brief introduction. We know steel is a very important primary material, and India over the last decade has substantially increased the CAGR, the compounded annual growth in terms of the consumption. I think we are close to 146 million tons. But how the rate of growth and other things have come up, we will hear from the expert. Mr. Alok Sahay is the Secretary General and Executive Head of Indian Steel Association, and he has a very large, illustrious career track record. And he previously worked in Steel Authority of India and the top leadership positions. And thank you for taking your time out, sir, and appreciate you being part of the India Energy Week.
Thanks for your introduction, and thanks to the organizer for having me here and giving steel industry an opportunity to explain our position with regards to the energy sector. Thank you.
Okay. So going ahead, and there was slight delay, which we were supposed to start at 11:30, and then we kind of sorry for that because of the traffic and other issues which Mr. Alok had. And so, can you give us a brief about the steel industry in India?
India today is the second largest producer and consumer of steel. We are the only large steel consuming country where there is a positive growth. There is a negative growth, be it China, be it US, Korea, Japan. All of them have a negative growth in steel consumption because India is growing, its infrastructure is growing. We need steel. We need much more steel. There is a hue and cry around the world of excess capacity, while in India, we are short in capacity. So we are going to have by 2030, we expect more than 300 million tons. Though in 2017, we had kept a target of 300, but now it seems we may cross. There are challenges today with the global meltdown. There are crises in China of the real estate, which has brought down the consumption. Almost 160 to 70 million ton consumption has gone down, while their production has gone down by only 60 million tons. So naturally, there is more of exports, and we are one of the vulnerable countries because we do not put so much of barrier. So only recently we had put some kind of safeguard measure. So right now, with 200 million ton of capacity, every year we are going to add about 20 million ton of capacity, with 15 to 20 million ton of consumption increase. We are on a very, we don't have enough margin right now to, no leeway. We need to continue to grow. And this requires, every million ton requires $1 billion of investment. So it's a huge investment. Government, therefore, we have been going back to government to make sure that investment friendly atmosphere is there and the returns are proper.
Wonderful. So what has been the steel consumption growth in the last 5 years, and how you are seeing in terms of the numbers for the next 5 years?
So right now it has been growing in the range of 11% to 13%. That has been beating our own estimate.
Wonderful.
We have been projecting in the World Steel, when it projects, we have been projecting in the range of 8%, 7.5 to 8%, whereas the actual growth has been 11%, 11 to 13%.
Okay.
But we expect around 7.5 to 8% consistent growth, yeah.
Yeah. I think for a GDP growth rate of around 7-8%, what we had, the steel consumption is growing at 12%. So next year, if you are seeing further growth, it's a big thing. But you also said, for every million tons, $1 billion investment.
$1 billion.
$1 billion, yeah. So almost close to 8,500, 9,000 crores for every 1 million tons.
Yes.
Yeah. And while that is
we need to add about 100 million ton. So you can imagine how much money we need, 9 lakh crore.
Wow. $100 billion. So that is a big ticket investment. It has a lot of cascading effect in the economy as well. And how much is the energy requirement that steel industry consumes?
See, right now we need about 70. consume about 95 terawatt hour of electricity right now. In terms of energy consumption, if you say, it's around 3.35 EJ. That's how measurement is.
Okay.
And per ton of crude steel, gigacalorie, it's about 5.3 gigacalorie right now India consumes, which is slightly more than the global average. Not slightly, it's much more than the global average, partly because of the grid intensity. You have grid intensity which is very different. Like Europe has around 0.4, India has 0.7. So therefore the consumptions and the carbon emission both are very high.
Okay. So in terms of the consumption, if we are looking to go towards 300 million ton capacity, the energy requirement also probably will double, or
actually, as per the Ministry of Steel figure, it's 184 by 2030. But they have simply gone by the calculation of 300 million ton. But the actual production, but they are showing 255 million ton. My own sense is that it will be little less than 184 million, 184 terawatt hour. It will not be 184 terawatt hour. By 2047, we are expecting 316. Again, there also we should be expecting less, because by 2047 our production should be around 425 million ton, and in 2030 it should be around 255 million ton. So it should be, but it's around that. The best part is our average energy consumption will go down per ton of crude steel. The consumption will go down from 5.3 gigacalorie. It should go down to somewhere around 3.7.
Okay.
Which is a very important thing. The global parameters we will be meeting.
So in the large steel producers, you have both primary steel producers and secondary steel. Okay. Is there a difference in their energy intensity?
Yes, there is a difference in energy intensity, in the sense that the the smaller SSI units are completely dependent on the grid. They don't have their own waste heat recovery. And in our case, it's about 25% waste heat recovery. We generate power up to 25% within by using the gases, burning them in the boiler, using the mechanical energy of, say, steam. We have a top TRT. Through that we generate power. So that way, almost 25% of power, and sometimes it peaks to 50% also, but average 25% of power we generate from our own waste heat recovery.
Okay.
Which is not true for so much is the for the SSI smaller units, because they don't have integrated steel production. So that's the reason.
Okay. So for the secondary steel producers, they consume direct power from the grid, and primary people they recycle and use it. So
we not only recycle, we have our own captive power plant also.
Okay.
And this has been done because the whole of the system requires a very stable environment. So there is never a situation where you don't have power. There should be no failure.
Okay.
So therefore, every company has its own captive power plant. And earlier, as you know, they were all thermal coal based. So we have thermal coal based. That's another problem we face. Because of that, we have high carbon footprint. Today, all of them are working towards renewable energy.
Okay. So in terms of the carbon emission, where do we stand vis-a-vis global?
See, if we look at the global standard, it's around 1.9, whereas we are at the level of 2.55.
Okay.
If just give you an example, when our intensity of the RE intensity will go up from 29.9% to 43.3%. That's the latest one. By 2030, we will be at 43.3%. We will be reducing the carbon content by 260.
Wonderful.
kg. So that itself will reduce the carbon content.
Okay.
Say, we don't have gases, we don't have scrap, we don't have hydrogen anyway is new for all, but the access to gas is very limited to our steel plants.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we have higher carbon footprint.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we have almost 43% of production through the blast furnace route. Whereas the Europe is shifting to electric arc furnace, US is shifting to electric arc furnace. We can't because we don't have scrap. Well, we don't have legacy steel available in India, which we can use as scrap.
So while we have a lot of domestic consumption, but we also export a little bit of steel from India.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the recent EU FTA between India and European Union, and recently we also had a FTA with UK. Do you think the export quota given by the European Union, will it increase because of this agreement, and will the carbon emission norms will have any impact on the exports?
So European Union is yet to decide on the quota because that will take place from July. Okay. And in July they will be determining, how the quota, because right now they are asking for change in the bound rate of custom duty because they have already been with the safeguard for last 8 years. They can't continue beyond this. So they want to switch over to the customs duty, but then along with that they will give quota. What I believe that so far as India is concerned, because we are in a strong part now with having free trade agreement, we'll definitely get a quota which is different than those who do not have FTA with European Union.
Okay, wonderful. So probably the EU FTA will have the positive impact on India
the most important thing I don't see in terms of steel. As a country in today's geopolitical situation, I think government has gone ahead with creating a good economic condition. And if economy grows, steel will grow. So I see things in a broader perspective, not as whether they will buy my steel or not steel, because we are not dependent on exports too. It's only about 4-5 million ton which we used to export out of 150-160 million ton. So that's not the prime thing, but yes, we would like them to buy our steel because it's a partnership, and that's an important thing. If there is a supply chain relationship, their people are dependent on us. Okay. So therefore, we would like this to continue.
Yeah.
But we are not the country with excess steel capacity. We are not focused on exports. We don't even export 10% of our production. Only 5-6% compared to other countries which are 40%. China is about more than 10% with such a huge quantity. So India is primarily focused on domestic industry, domestic consumption.
Okay. So just to add a small perspective, as he rightly said, it's more of a optics in terms of instead of specifically increasing the quantities for the steel, India imports close to $750 billion worth of goods, and then exports close to $400 billion. So you have a trade deficit of around $300 billion. And then you have software exports and invisibles close to 300 or 275. So you get a current account deficit of -30, -40. Even a little bit of jump from steel and small commodities, and if we can bring down the current account deficit to zero, okay, so that will then you are not dependent on the capital account for your increasing the forex reserves. So that a little bit affect what can be created will significantly add value. So can steel exports increase by, what it takes to increase $1 billion of steel exports?
So one is that globally now we are one of the highest quality steel producer anywhere in the world, except one or two steel which we we don't have the grain oriented CRGO for the electrical equipments. CRNO we make, but grain oriented we don't make. Okay. We have now it's quite expensive to produce that, but now one producer has already started work on that, and slowly others will also join. Now we make the best of the steel anyone can make in the world. So our prospects are very good. It's a it's a very peculiar trade situation, as everyone has witnessed. The moment it opens, and there are very small pockets of consumption. Like European Union has deficit of total compared to their own consumption. Production, their consumption is more. So plus they export also. So there is a net requirement of steel. So that's a very important market for us. Middle East is there. So there are limited pockets. India is also one of the important market, but luckily Indian steel producers are doing very well, and they
Okay.
are meeting the demand. So we have good opportunity. We are gearing up with the best of the steel quality, and anytime we can export. So that's the situation.
Wonderful. So moving from the conventional energy requirement to the renewables, do we produce all the material that is required for the renewable energy growth that is envisaged in the
No,
conference
that was a
for India?
concern for us. That was
Yeah.
a concern. Like we make steel for, we have been making for hydroelectric power for a long time, but we were not making steel for solar panel at all. And all while India stopped solar panel imports, there was a duty, anti-dumping duty. But at the same time, our solar panel were made with the steel coming from Korea. Almost the entire steel was coming from Korea. And I would like to inform everyone, we have now have at least 2 to 3 producers. Uh, we will be having more than enough. 100% requirement we can meet even with the projected growth.
Okay.
There is solar panel we are going to meet. Wind energy we are already making the steel. There is no problem. So we will be fully, we will be dependent on our own resources.
So when you are making solar panels for every megawatt of steel, for every megawatt of electricity production, how much steel is generally required, sir?
It is for, I think, 21 kg for every kilowatt. That's what I remember. I have these figures.
Yeah.
For every megawatt, it's about 21 to 27 kg.
Tons maybe.
21 to 27 tons.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
This is what we need.
Okay. And can you give us some perspective about the specialized steel, which is what we call as a zinc, aluminum, and magnesium coated steel?
So this is zinc, aluminum, magnesium coating.
Yeah.
Actually, this is ZAM steel. It's called ZAM steel, which we will be making. And this ZAM steel will be, it's a different kind of coating. Zinc, it's a mixture of zinc, aluminum, and manganese, and a very tough coating. So it's in a different way. Very specialized coating requirements are there. So we are making. No,
Okay.
we will be having.
So
in India.
who are the main steel producers who are investing in these capacities?
And normally I avoid giving name
Okay.
of members. It doesn't look nice. But just for information, like we have ArcelorMittal, we have JSW Steel, we
Okay.
have now Tata Steel is also gearing up. So we have all these steel companies.
Okay. In terms of the steel scrap availability in India, can you give a perspective about how is our collection mechanism and in future, because the way Europe and US are moving into electric arc furnaces, steel scrap becomes a very important raw material.
Yeah.
So can you throw some light on steel scrap?
Yeah, we have in India we have just about 33 million ton of scrap availability. And even after projection by 2030, we expect it to grow to 39 million ton. It's really going to be short. Now, the problem is how to. One is the problem is certified, recyclers who can give the certificate. Then there is also those who break it into and take out the different parts of the car. It's like ship breaking, that kind of thing. The number of units are very little. Only around 50 certified units are there, whereas we need about more than 700, 800 minimum requirement is there. The kind of scrap requirements are there. So, but I would say that government is continuously discussing on this, and I'm sure in next, because it makes sense. But there are some issues like, all these people talk about GST, reverse mechanism of GST they need. So these things are under discussion. So let's see how it shapes. But once the regulatory issues are taken care, I'm sure, because they're small people, they can't pay GST. So therefore, you need some different kind of collection. People who don't larger units can pay on their behalf GST. So
Okay.
that's why the reverse mechanism.
Okay.
So this is what it will happen.
Yeah.
It's a
So
matter of
today
some
steel
time.
scrap availability is an issue, but it will be eventually
But
resolved.
eventually, ultimately, you don't have scrap.
Yeah.
See, we have not, unlike Europe, which has been making 100 million ton long time back, we have not been consuming so much steel.
Okay.
And scrap, we give zero, carbon emission. So
Okay.
that's why we are at a disadvantage today compared to the world.
Okay. And the people who are setting up large refineries, petrochemical complexes, they use a lot of specialized steel in setting up the unit. So in the next 3 years, 5 years, generally, do you see stable prices for the buyers? Uh,
See, I'll give you an example. Like we supply to auto sector. I was making an analysis some time back, and I have those figures. You'll be surprised. Our steel makers' return were in the range of 2%, and while the returns or return on investment of the automakers are in the range of 9 to 10%, because the prices went down. Now, if there is a price recovery, basically, like today, April to 2025 and today's price are almost at the same level. It came down by huge margin. Then again, it has recovered. But there is discussion somewhere in newspaper. So I said, no, you have come back to the 2025 April, when government thought of imposing safeguard because the prices were low, and we are still very low.
yeah.
So, but I don't see our prices would, our steel producers generally do not believe in very high prices, especially with the OEMs.
Okay.
Because OEM prices are always, one to one, and it is never very high. It is negotiated prices.
Yeah.
So
To that,
they are always reasonable,
yeah.
and it
To
is
that
discussed and
extent,
then finalized.
yeah. I think to that extent we should appreciate the steel industry, because I always tell the steel price of around 50 to 60 rupees per kg is less than onions or tomatoes
Yes,
that you actually consume. And what do you think in terms of the the green transition
Okay.
capex?
Green transition capex, we need. The problem is, it's a chicken and egg story. Like, who will buy? There has to be demand pull.
For the
Then
green
there will
steel.
be a demand supply push from our side. Now, who will start first? Whether demand should come, and whether someone is ready to pay more money for the green steel, because there will be investment. We got a study done by Kearney for our decarbonization in the steel industry. Almost $350 billion they talk about in the green transition only. Now, issue is, who will pay this money? If it is more than the steel, you're setting up the steel plants, more than that green transition is going to cost. It's not going to be possible. Number one. Number two, from 2.5 or 2.3 up to 2.2, probably, and we will reduce. And then again, as I said, when the grid intensity goes down, it will come back to 1.7, 1.8. And then further, it will go down by, best available technology. Now, all these will contribute to some extent, but beyond that, the last mile will be requiring, CCU. We have to capture the carbon. That's the only way for the these blast furnace route. In case of scrap route producers, they can they should not be given the same like there should be differential parameter for their green steel. Otherwise, they will be doing only up to what we do. Then they don't need to do anything.
Okay.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But there is a challenge in case of DRI because they use thermal coal, and there is not enough gas available, and they are all mostly rotary kiln, not the vertical kiln. And in the rotary kiln, gas cannot be introduced.
Okay.
So these are some of the major challenges we are facing right now in decarbonization. But all the producers, so far as to the extent possible, the best available technology they are introducing, all of them are introducing. Bureau of Energy Efficiency has done a study of 251 entities, and they have set targets for each, separate targets for each.
Okay.
So that's a big thing, and with the marginal costing, so that you don't incur cost. Only there are some certain process gives you cost advantage. Certain processes you have to incur cost. So there has to be a balance between the two. So that's how they are monitoring now.
Okay, wonderful. I think we have covered most of the aspects, but one last question. Do you think from the hedging and risk management perspective for the steel, having steel futures traded at NCDX or MCX, is this a good phenomenon, and will you be contributing to the marketplace development from the hedging and risk management point of view?
I can't comment because I don't think we had one meeting with the MCX, but I don't see that. Not to my understanding, it has got developed so much.
Okay, thank you very much, and it was wonderful having you, sir. And we appreciate all the perspectives that we have. So to summarize, we had 12.5%, 12-13% consumption growth. And then we are expected to be touching 300 million tons of capacities by 2030, and we are expecting a sustainable growth of around close to 8%. And and so much of information, and we really appreciate your presence, and thank you very much, Mr. Alok Sahay.